Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Snack Thoughts. Welcome again to Snack Thoughts. And what is my thought of today? I guess I would say my thought of the day is relativity. Yeah, relativity. And when I say relativity, I'm talking about life. How it's all relative. It just depends on what your perspective is, you know? And this was like some years ago. I shared a conversation with a friend of mine. She was at the time a lawyer, and she was taking me around to look for some houses. And we were just discussing about different levels of success and stuff like that, and talking about, different levels on a socioeconomically and stuff like that. And the concept came up that no matter what the subject or what the topic is, it's all relative. And so what she meant and explained to me that it was all relative is that what may be a lot to one person may be small to another, or what might be minuscule to one may be, a lot or average to another. It all depends on your perspective. I think about, like, sometimes we look at certain professions or rich people, like even say doctors, some that may even have their private practice, or even some that may even work in clinics or hospitals, and they make these large salaries. Some anywhere from 400 and something thousand to maybe a couple of million. And so when you talk about it's all relative, it's a good example would be, you may have a person that may work sanitation, and they, say they have a family. Just use an example. They have a family, say a wife and some kids. And then you have a doctor that has a wife and some kids. And the sanitation person, depending on where they work at, we'll make an assumption and say maybe they make say $85,000 a year, and then we'll take the doctor and make an assumption that the doctor makes say $500,000-$600,000 a year. These are just assumptions. I could go up and say $1 million, but we look at the assumed lifestyles of the two, the cars that they drive, the areas that they live in. But I think what we fail to realize is that even though the guy that works sanitation making, say, $85,000 a year, and say he may live in a middle class or lower middle class neighborhood, and he may drive, say, maybe I'm just making assumptions. We'll just assume, okay, he's got a family. Say maybe he's driving a SUV or something like that. Whereas we make assumptions by the doctor because he drives a much more expensive vehicle, maybe a Porsche. And he lives in, say, maybe an upper middle class neighborhood. We'll make assumptions. Maybe his house is about maybe $700,000-$800,000. But what people fail to realize is that even though on paper the doctor makes significantly more than the sanitation worker, the doctor has larger expenses. So when you really look at it, by the time you take out the taxes, FICA, and federal and state, you take out the money for their pensions and, insurances, miscellaneous other expenses that come out. When you add it up, when they get to their net, and then you got to look at what they have to spend on their families. We'll make an assumption and say that the sanitation workers' kids are going to regular public school, and then for the doctor, his kids are going to private school, Then on top of that, we'll make the assumption that let's make the assumption and say that the sanitation worker's wife works, and we'll say the doctor's wife is maybe a stay-at-home wife. We're just going to make assumptions, okay? And we'll just say that the sanitation worker's wife She doesn't make much. She might have gotten maybe an associate's or maybe a bachelor's. And let's say she makes maybe 50 G's a year, okay? And we're just making assumptions, What people fail to realize is that there's also a standard of living. Let's make the wife a stay-at-home wife for the sanitation work also. But both of those women are going to have two different standards of living. The sanitation worker doesn't make as much, so his wife, assumed is not going to have the same standard of living as, say, the doctor's wife. They may have certain functions that they have to attend, and then she is used to a certain standard. So everything has a cost to it. And so by the time that doctor, pays everything out, sets money aside for future investments and retirement income, and then assumed, he's got to give his wife, say, maybe a certain allowance, so she has something, some type of spending money or something, and then money, whatever for the household. By the time you shrink, carve their salaries up, the money is not as much as you think it is. Kids going to private school cost money. And so it is truly all relative, because to that doctor, by the time his salary is carved up with, whatever taxes and stuff like that, he really doesn't have as much as we perceive him to have left over. Sometimes a sanitation person, the person making less, can actually be doing better than those that make higher dollar incomes, or may even supposedly have a higher net worth. But it truly is all relative. You can look at terms of problems that people have. Many times as human beings, we all go through a lot of the same stuff, but it's the same stuff, just a different toilet. That person that may live in that big house, or the person that may live in a small one or an apartment, or may even live in the hood, people are people no matter where you go. And a lot of us, experiencing a lot of the same day-to-day issues. I know that we definitely are all individuals, but generally speaking, we are experiencing a lot of the same life issues. We all need food, water, shelter, sleep. We need, need to be loved and, appreciated in a sense of belonging. But it's a lesson to be thankful for what it is that you have, and not to necessarily think that the grass is always greener on the other side, because oftentimes it's not. A lot of times what we see as onlookers or from outsiders looking in, we see more of an illusion. Things are not as always as they appear. Even the Bible says that everything is not as it appears. But in life, it truly is relative. We think that, once I get this amount of money, or once I achieve this status, then, things will be different and change. And oftentimes we get there and find out that it's no different. We're still who we are, and what we had expectations and thought that it would be, it turns out not to be anything different. We think if we get a bigger house, well, then things will be different. But the only difference is you're still the same you with the same problems, except you just got more square footage. Truly, it really is. It's all relative, and that's the importance in life of making sure you count the cost before you make certain decisions. Relativity. Truly, it really is all relative. It's all, no matter how you slice it, no matter where you go, it's the same stuff, but just a different toilet. The neighborhood may look different, but the characters that are in it are still the same. Yeah, that's some food for thought, guys. Relativity. It's all relative. Don't always necessarily believe that the grass is greener on the other side. It doesn't matter whether you work in a factory or whether you are, rich in Hollywood. Same stuff, but different toilet. It's all relative. And just make sure that you appreciate what it is that you have. And before I leave, I'll leave you with this, Be thankful for what you have. And this holiday season, please make the time to think of someone else. You know what I'm saying? There's always somebody that wish they had what you had. You see, it's all relative. It's all relative. And I've learned that just by watching the spread of this homeless population, what I'm seeing, It'll make you appreciate, having a place to stay, some heat, and something to eat to be able to fill your belly. It truly is all relative. Sure, will there always be somebody that's got more than what you got, but more doesn't necessarily mean better. More doesn't necessarily mean better. But it's all relative, guys. And that's all I just want to leave you with something to think about. Relativity. Relativity. It is all relative, depending on your perspective. All right, guys, that's all I have on this one for Snacks Thoughts. And the name of my podcast is Snacks Thoughts, obviously, SNAKZTHOUGHTS. And you can find me on Anchor, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Radio PBM, Listen, SoundCloud, and a host of other social media platforms. And I also have a YouTube channel called Eric Broadus YouTube. That's EricBroadus YouTube, or ericbroadusyoutube.com. So please subscribe to Snacks Thoughts and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go over there, smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell so you can get future podcasts, live streams, videos, and any other information that's going to come out on my YouTube channel that pertains to Snacks Thoughts. Subscribe to both. Share them. Push them out. Share it with your enemies. Share it with your friends. Share it with your associates, co-workers, your cats, your dogs, your birds, your snakes, whatever. Share it. That's all I got, guys. And just remember, be thankful for what you have, but it's all relative. Consider your perspective. All right? Peace out, guys. And I will see you soon on YouTube and here on Snacks Thoughts. Later.